We're going to dive into the hidden power struggles that are messing with the price of oil. We're talking about the new geopolitical forces that are shaking up the entire global market and what it all means for you and me. So you've definitely felt it, right? At the gas pump, you see it in the news. Prices are all over the place, and our supply chains feel like they're constantly one step away from breaking. The big question is, why? What is really going on here? Now, it's really easy to just blame this on simple supply and demand, but honestly, that's not even half the story. The chaos we're all feeling, well, it's not an accident. It's actually the result of a high-stakes global power struggle for control over the world's most vital resource. To really get what's happening right now, we have to rewind the tape a little. Today's oil map was basically drawn over 3 different phases of power, and each one totally changed the rules of the game. You can really break down the whole story of oil power into 3 key moments. It all kicked off in the 50s, with oil-producing countries fighting for control. Then, things moved into a super competitive, kind of chaotic market in the 80s. And that all led up to this powerful new alliance that formed back in 2016. All right, so phase 1. It really starts with this huge move by Iran in 1951, when they decided to nationalize their oil industry. Now, that was quickly shut down by a Western-backed coup, but the idea, that seed was planted. And by 1960, 5 of these nations banded together and formed OPEC, creating a brand new force in the world. And this was a huge deal. I mean, for the very first time, these oil-producing countries had a way to speak with one voice. With OPEC, they finally had a tool to coordinate their production, which gave them the power to directly influence global prices. The whole balance of power started to shift. But of course, that power wasn't going to last forever. In phase 2, the game completely changed. The Middle East became a hub of instability. And, this is the big one, the U.S. shale revolution brought a massive new player onto the field. Saudi Arabia tried to crush shale in 2014 by flooding the market with cheap oil, but it just didn't work. And that was a wake-up call. The old OPEC model was officially broken. And that weakness, that failure, is exactly what set the stage for the world we're in today, and for the creation of a powerful new cartel. So let's look at how the producers adapted and took back control. And here it is, OPEC+. This was formed in 2016. And you gotta understand, this is not your father's OPEC. It's a strategic alliance that brings in huge non-OPEC players, most importantly, Russia, with one clear goal: to manage the global oil market together. And just think about the scale of this thing. Together, this new bloc controls somewhere around 45% of all the oil produced in the entire world. That is a staggering amount of market control. It gives them leverage to influence prices in a way the old OPEC could only dream of. I mean, you put them side by side, and the difference is just night and day. The old OPEC was mostly regional, Gulf-centric. OPEC Plus is a truly global bloc. While the old OPEC was struggling against shale, OPEC Plus has the muscle to make coordinated production cuts actually stick. It's a much more powerful beast. So what's the end game here? What are they trying to do? It's actually pretty simple. They want to create a price floor. They all work together to keep oil prices from dipping below a certain point. It guarantees a nice, stable, and profitable income for all the members. They're effectively managing the price of crude oil for the whole world. Now, inside this new system, Iran is a real wild card. On the one hand, their supply can be a useful tool to cool down the market if prices get too crazy. But on the other hand, they can also go rogue, selling discounted oil to buyers like China, which completely undermines the group's whole price strategy. And this is where things get really weird and kind of backward. U.S. sanctions against Iran, they actually end up helping OPEC+. Think about it. By making it harder for Iran to sell its oil on the open market, the sanctions basically remove a potential troublemaker. This makes it way easier for the rest of the group to keep that price floor nice and high. Okay, so that's all the high-level geopolitical chess. But how does this stuff actually affect us in our daily lives? Well, it creates a ripple effect that leads directly to the supply chain squeeze we're all talking about. You might remember things seemed to get a little better for a minute there in mid-2025. Well, that little break is over. Global supply chain stress is ramping up again, big time. The whole system is feeling fragile, and the pressure is building as we get into early 2026. And look, This pressure isn't spread out evenly. It's really concentrated in these super critical hotspots. We're talking the major arteries of global trade, like the China Sea and the Eastern Mediterranean. And when these specific routes get clogged up, the whole global system feels it. And what's fascinating is you can draw a straight line from these hotspots to the big geopolitical players we've been talking about. Disruption in East Asia? That's got China's fingerprints all over it. Tensions in the Persian Gulf? You can bet Iran is involved. Pressure on European trade? Well, that's linked to Russia's ongoing conflict. Each one is adding another layer of stress to the system. All right, let's pull the camera back one last time to see the whole chessboard. Because this isn't just about oil prices anymore. This is about a much, much bigger strategic game. You know, there's been a really weird twist in all this chaos. For years, countries like China and Russia have been trying to move away from using the US dollar to trade oil. But all this instability has actually killed that trend. When things get crazy, traders run back to what they see as safe, and that's the dollar. So its dominance is actually getting stronger. And this feeds into a much larger strategic idea. One analysis puts it perfectly, saying that the US strategy toward Iran isn't just about Iran. It can be seen as part of a huge project to box in its main global rivals, China and Russia, and weaken their influence in a super critical part of the world. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The instability, the high prices, the supply chain problems, they're not a bug in the system. They're a feature. This is what a global contest for power and influence looks like in the 21st century. Which, really leaves us with one massive, lingering question. As this great game keeps playing out, with these powerful blocks and competing strategies reshaping our world, who's really calling the shots? Who truly holds the power?